a guy named Eric getting into a brutal fight with one of his friends. Eric just keeps hitting him over and over again for no real reason. All their other friends are standing around watching, but nobody steps in to stop it because everyone's scared of Eric. He's known for being aggressive and getting into fights all the time. After the fight, the school principal calls Eric into his office. The principal has had enough of Eric's bad behavior and kicks him out of school on the spot. When Eric gets home, things get even worse. His stepfather beats him with a cane as punishment for getting expelled. Eric's mom sees what's happening but doesn't stop it. She thinks maybe this harsh punishment will teach Eric to behave better. Later, Eric's mom introduces him to her friend Gunnar, who works as a lawyer. Gunnar hands Eric his business card and tells him to call anytime he needs help with any kind of trouble. Eric just takes the card, not really understanding why he'd need a lawyer. After Gunnar leaves, Eric's mom sits him down and tells him she's really disappointed in him. But then she surprises him by saying she's already enrolled him in a new school. It's called Stjarnsberg, and it's a boarding school for boys only. His mom makes it clear this is his absolute last chance. If he messes up again, that's it. Eric promises her he'll do better this time. He swears he'll behave, graduate, and make her proud. Eric arrives at Stjarnsberg wearing his new uniform with a fresh short haircut. His roommate turns out to be a guy named Pierre, who happens to be the smartest student in the whole school. They hit it off right away because Pierre is super friendly and welcoming. That night, they head to the dining hall for dinner together. At dinner, Eric meets another student named Johan who explains how things work at this school. Johan tells him that every school has its own set of rules and traditions, and at Stjarnsberg, students are treated differently based on their social class and family background. Right after Johan says this, Eric watches as one of the students gets called over by two guys sitting at the far end of the table. Their names are Otto and Gustav. The student who gets called comes from a regular, working-class family, while Otto and Gustav are sons of rich, powerful nobles. These two guys constantly pick on and bully students from ordinary families, just like the kid sitting next to Eric. Otto and Gustav get away with all their bullying because their families have huge influence over school, so they know they'll never get expelled no matter what they do. On top of that, they're part of the student council, which gives them official power to punish other students however they want. After dinner ends, Pierre asks Eric if he wants to go smoke for a bit. Eric hesitates at first because he promised his mom he wouldn't break any rules. Johan warns them both that they'll get seriously punished if they're caught smoking. But Pierre assures Eric they won't get caught, and Eric eventually gives in and agrees to go. The next morning at breakfast, Otto and Gustav call Eric over to their table. They want to give him a welcome since he's the new transfer student, and they need to teach him about the school's traditions. But Eric immediately refuses to play along. Because Eric refused them, they decide to punish Johan instead. Otto hits Johan so hard in the head that he has to be taken away by medical staff for treatment. That evening, Otto and Gustav decide to mess with Eric again. They call him to their private room and order him to clean up a huge pile of dirty, smelly shoes scattered all over the floor. Once again, Eric refuses their orders and just walks out. Gustav gets angry and asks Otto what they should do about Eric. Otto seems pretty relaxed about the whole thing. He tells Gustav to leave Eric alone for now since he's still new to the school. Eric goes back to his room and tells Pierre everything that happened. Pierre's face immediately gets serious and worried. He warns Eric not to disobey Otto and Gustav anymore because students who don't follow their orders always end up getting punished badly. Eric, who used to be a bully himself back at his old school, says he's not scared of them at all. He tells Pierre he'll never obey any of their orders, no matter what. Later that night, Eric and Pierre try to come up with ways to stand up against Otto and Gustav's bullying without using violence. But it seems almost impossible because all the other students would rather just obey Otto and Gustav than get beaten up and bruised. The following day, Gustav accidentally bumps into Eric while Eric's walking down the school hallway. Gustav immediately demands that Eric apologize to him. But Eric refuses because he knows he didn't bump into Gustav. It was Gustav who ran into him. Gustav gets furious and challenges Eric to fight him at a specific location at night. Pierre and Johan take Eric to the place where the fight is supposed to happen. Pierre explains to Eric that Otto and Gustav never fight fair. They always bring their friends along and gang up on whoever they're fighting. That night, Eric plans to show up and accept Gustav's challenge. But at the last second, he changes his mind and remembers what his mom told him about behaving well, so he can graduate. After deciding not to fight, he goes back to his room. Pierre invites him to smoke together to relax and unwind. Meanwhile, at the fight location, Otto and Gustav wait for Eric for a long time. When Eric never shows up, Otto calls him a coward and a rat, and all his followers cheer and laugh. The next day, Otto calls out the names of several students who've been getting punished a lot and disobeying orders from student council, and Eric's name is on that list. Otto, who's the student council president, sentences Eric to a full month of punishment. Eric has to dig a trench 1 meter deep all the way around the school grounds. Eric spends hours digging trenches until really late, so by the time he's done, dinner is already over and he has to eat alone in the empty dining hall. While Eric's eating by himself, a woman named Marja, who works in the school cafeteria, comes up to him. Marja seems interested in Eric and tells him he reminds her of her own brother. She says Eric's personality is similar to her brother's because they both refuse to just accept unfair treatment when they see it. Like usual, Eric goes outside to have a quick smoke after eating. While he's smoking alone, Marja suddenly appears. She tells him that smoking is bad for his health and jokes about how his breath must smell. Then, out of nowhere, Marja kisses him and hugs him tight. Both Eric and Marja know that the school has a strict rule against students having romantic relationships with staff members. The punishment is really harsh. The student gets expelled and the staff member gets fired immediately. But that night, neither of them cares about the rules. When Christmas break arrives, Eric goes back home. His mom is happy to see him, but his stepfather definitely isn't. His stepfather immediately questions why Eric got so many punishments and even got suspended. Eric tells him the truth. He explains that he disobeyed orders from a student who turns out to be the son of a noble family with a lot of power at the school. His stepfather actually tells Eric he should have flattered and obeyed the noble's son. Because Eric's report card shows bad grades and lots of punishments, his stepfather beats him with a cane again. His mother knows what's happening but doesn't stop it again. After Christmas break ends, Eric returns to school. He immediately rushes to find Marja because he's missed her so much. Eric and Marja meet under the moonlight and make out, missing each other. Knowing that Eric is back at school, Otto and Gustav come up with another plan to mess with him. This time they're going to sneak into his room and throw dirt all over him while he's sleeping. Their plan works perfectly. Eric and Pierre wake up covered in dirt and have to clean their entire room. But Eric isn't going to just let this slide. He decides to get revenge on Otto and Gustav. He takes some of the leftover dirt, sneaks into Otto's room, and dumps it all over Otto while he's fast asleep. The next day in the dining hall, Eric makes sure everyone can hear him. He says really loudly, "Does anyone else smell this awful poop?" Then he sniffs around the room dramatically until he stops right in front of Otto, who is eating breakfast. Eric announces to everyone that the smell of poop is coming from Otto. Otto immediately loses it. He's furious that Eric dared to embarrass him in front of everyone. He punches Eric in the face repeatedly until Eric's face is bloody and bruised. But Eric doesn't fight back because he promised his mother he'd stay out of trouble. Marta sees what's happening and yells at Otto to stop. Since Otto and Gustav can't seem to break Eric, they decide to change their strategy. They're going to target Pierre instead, who's Eric's roommate and his only real friend at the school. Otto calls Pierre over while they're in the dining hall. But Pierre refuses to come because he hasn't done anything wrong to Otto. Otto doesn't care. He challenges Pierre to a fight after the last class of the day and threatens to punish him if he doesn't show up. Otto and Gustav are deliberately targeting Pierre to get to Eric. They know Eric would never just stand by and watch his best friend get ganged up on by Otto and all his followers. And once Eric tries to help, they'll gang up on him too. After that, no student would ever dare disobey Otto and Gustav again. That evening, Pierre feels like he has no choice but to accept Otto's challenge. He shows up to the fight alone, while Otto and Gustav are surrounded by all their followers. Pierre tries to fight Otto, but they're not evenly matched at all. Otto is much bigger and stronger. Pierre gets knocked to the ground after just a few light hits from Otto. Eric is nowhere to be seen. His best friend is on the ground in pain, while Otto and his followers laugh and make fun of him. By the time Pierre is completely beaten and lying on the ground, Eric finally shows up, but it's way too late to help. Eric carries Pierre back to their room and cleans up his wounds. He lets Pierre rest and then leaves the room. He finds Marja and they spend the whole night together making love until morning. In the morning, Eric worries about Pierre and rushes back to their room. He's shocked to find the room completely empty. Pierre is gone and he took all his belongings with him, which means he's not coming back to school. Pierre left behind only a letter apologizing for leaving so suddenly. In the letter, Pierre says Eric was a really good friend to him. He tells Eric not to give up and to keep fighting against the unfair treatment from Otto and his followers and to stop all the injustice happening at the school. After reading the letter, Eric stands up with new determination. He reveals who he really is inside. He decides he's going to get revenge on Otto and his followers for how cruelly they treated his friend and all the other students. He goes to the dining hall, walks right up to Gustav, and challenges them to fight in the arena in 1 hour. Eric shows up alone and fights both Gustav and another student, who are both bigger and stronger than him. But these two guys are all talk and only powerful because of their rich parents. Eric, who is a real troublemaker and fighter before, manages to beat both of them pretty easily without much effort. Eric then threatens Otto, who's standing there in complete shock because Eric just defeated his two strongest guys. Eric tells Otto that he's coming for him next. But before dealing with Otto, Eric goes to the school kitchen to look for Marja. One of the female employees tells Eric that Marja has already left the school because she was fired. She hands him a letter from Marja. Eric is heartbroken that Marja left suddenly, just like Pierre did. One of Otto's followers sees Eric getting the letter from the kitchen employee. He immediately runs and tells Otto about it. Otto then raids Eric's room and orders his guys to search through all of Eric's stuff. They find the letter from Marja. Otto reads it and discovers that Eric and Marja were having a secret relationship. Of course, Otto uses this letter as evidence to get Eric expelled from school. He immediately brings the proof of this serious rule violation to the principal. The principal calls Eric to his office and expels him from school without any discussion because he committed such a serious offense, just like Marja did. Eric accepts his punishment calmly, but he asks the principal to give him back the letter from Marja because it's the only memory he has of her. The principal refuses and locks it away in a drawer. Eric decides he's going to get revenge on Otto for all the terrible things that happened to him at Jarnsberg. After all, he's already been expelled from school, so he can do whatever he wants to Otto now. He goes looking for Otto and finds him walking alone in the woods. Eric confronts him with a stick and threatens him. He makes Otto get down on his knees. Surprisingly, Otto immediately does what Eric says. Otto looks terrified and offers Eric $10,000 not to kill him. But Eric refuses the money. When Eric raises the stick to hit Otto, Otto starts crying hysterically and begging Eric to spare his life. Then Otto throws up. Eric grabs Otto's face and tells him he's not going to kill him because Eric is different from Otto. Eric doesn't enjoy hurting weak people. Eric then goes back to the school to pack his things. Then he remembers Gunnar, the lawyer, who said Eric could contact him if there was any problem at school. Eric immediately calls Gunnar, and it doesn't take long before the lawyer arrives at Jarnsberg. After Eric explains his whole situation to Gunnar, they both go to the principal's office. The principal is in there drinking with some of the teaching staff. Eric asks not to be expelled from school and requests that his letter from Marja be returned to him. At first, the principal refuses, but then Gunnar walks into the room and threatens to expose everything to the public. He'll reveal the social class system and bullying culture among the students, and how the principal and other staff members have been intentionally allowing it to happen. The principal realizes he has no other choice. He agrees to all of Eric's demands and dissolves the student council that Otto was leading. To make a long story short, Eric is incredibly grateful to Gunnar because he gets to stay at school and manage to take down Otto and his followers' harsh rule. Eric spends the rest of his time at school peacefully until graduation day arrives. His mother is extremely proud and happy about everything her son accomplished during his time at Jarnsberg. However, his stepfather is still unhappy because Eric got bad grades in the behavior section of his report card. When his stepfather gets ready to beat him with the cane again, Eric fights back this time. He tells his stepfather this is the last time there will ever be violence in their house. And finally, Eric throws his stepfather out of the house. The evil movie ends with Eric finally meets up with Pierre again, who's heading to Geneva to continue his education, and finally, they promise each other they'll meet again someday. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps.